If you guys want coins for FC24, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code Rema, you can get yourself a lovely 5% discount. So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. Now if you've been around for a while, this might actually be the first time you've ever seen my face, and there's a very good reason as to why I don't usually use my face cams, and it's because when I record my videos I'm usually hunched over my microphone a bit like that, just blindlessly talking into the microphone, and it's been a very difficult habit to break. So I thought, you know, put the face cam on, see if you can do it and see if your viewers like it. So here you go, here's my extremely mid face. I hope you guys can get used to it. Now in today's video we have some tactics for the 4-3-3 fourth variation, tactics which actually got me verified on Ultimate Team, so I can now technically compete in the EA Pro events. You can see we've got the little tab here for competitive, and the way you do this is you have to basically you have to get to Division 4 in Rivals by today, I think the 1st of October, which is actually really difficult because it's very sweaty at the start of the game, and obviously since everyone starts in like Division 10, when you get to this division this early on, it's basically like the elite division. But we did win pretty much all of our games, and the team we used is extremely mid. Like, you guys might not believe it, but this is the team I've used to win 37 out of 40 games of Rivals. Been very good for me, and here's the tactics which you guys can use if you are struggling. Alright then, so starting off with the custom tactics for the defensive style, I have this on balance. Now the reason we have this on balance is because it does give you the best control over your defense. So when you want to press your opponent and be aggressive, you can do that, and then when you want to drop off and be a little bit more passive, you can also do that. So it does give you really good control, which the other settings do not give you. Now moving on to the width, guys, I like to have this on 43, and the reason we have this on 43 is because it's really nice and balanced in my opinion. You don't want to commit to a super low width because it makes your defense too narrow and you leave too much space on the wings, so you can just get crossed for days, and you don't really want that. And on the flip side, you don't want your width to be too high, otherwise you just leave way too many gaps in the middle. So it's all about finding that balance. Anywhere between like 40 and 45 is really good at this point, I would say. Now moving on to the depth, guys, I have this on 52. I really do suggest anything over 45 because you get like this automatic pressure thing. I can't really explain it. When you have it above 45, your defenders just seem to do a lot more higher up the pitch, which is really useful. So anything over 45 is good. I just have this on about 52 at the moment. You can actually go all the way ahead and put this up to 60 if you like, or even 70. It's completely up to you. It's all about finding that depth which works for you. Moving on to the build-up play, guys, I have this on balance. Now, we have this on balance because it is really controlled and varied. When you build up the play, you can pick and choose when and where you use each form of build-up. So if you want to build up slowly, you can do that. And then if you want to speed it up and play a little bit quicker, you can also do that. So balanced allows you to do all the forms of build-up whenever you want, basically. Very good, guys. Cannot suggest it enough. Now, for chance creation, you guessed it, we have direct passing. Again, it's an absolute must this year in my opinion. The reason it's important is because it's the only chance creation setting which will make your attackers move in the correct way. When you have direct passing on, your attackers will like bunch up against the opposition defenders, meaning it's very easy to isolate a certain defender and take him on to create a chance. They will also make more versatile runs, which makes it much easier to play through balls and things like that. It's just an absolute must if you want to actually score goals in this game. Now for the width, I have this on 48. Now the reason for this is 4-3-3, obviously a wider formation. It's not like the narrow formations we use, so we do want have a bit of a higher width. Now a lot of people think like wide formation, really high width. Don't suggest that personally because there's just way too much of a gap between all of your players when you do this, and that is not ideal. So I actually still like to go just below 50 as your players are nice and spaced out, but they're not too spaced out to the point where every time you try and play a pass you have to play a missile into your teammate. Now moving on to players in box, at the moment I just have this on 5, bang in the middle. This is so we can get a few players into that penalty box to help us finish off the chances, but we don't overcommit everyone on the team to the point where if we lose out on possession, we're not always going to get counter-attacked. And as for corners and free kicks, guys, I have these both on 2. It's just really a preference thing. If you want to go all the way and put it on 5, completely up to you. Don't really suggest it, but again, you can do whatever you want with these. Now just quickly looking through the players you want to use, I'm not going to spend ages talking about this because it's pretty self-explanatory, but if you're really struggling in the striker position, I do suggest going for, you know, like a nice clinical finisher, somebody that can actually finish off all your chances, because it's important to have at least one person in this team that can finish off your chances. So I do suggest getting a competent striker that can actually finish their chances, but an added bonus would be getting a technical striker on top of this, somebody that can also create as well as just finish. So pretty much just use whoever you want there. For the wingers, again, use whoever you want, but they do have to be wingers in my opinion. You do want players that are very quick, very good at dribbling, even have like the quick step and technical play styles because they're very useful for that controlled sprint. You're also going to want players that can cross the ball, pass, and even shoot, because there will be a lot of times where they will get into shooting positions. For the cam, it's important to use an actual cam, somebody that can actually make that pass. I just called the cam a Sam then, but yeah. Anyway, it's important to use somebody that can actually pass because they are the main creator in this team. So you don't want to use somebody that will always fumble that final pass and screw up your chances. So make sure you use an actual cam, somebody that has actually got some creative ability. For the 2 centre mids, I go for a balance here. So I like to go for one more defensive-minded midfielder on the left-hand side in Tonali. This is somebody that will always defend and bring security to our defence. It's important to have that balance in the midfield, otherwise you're going to get destroyed. And for the other centre mid, I go for a more box-to-box style player, somebody that will both attack and defend. I like to have that balance of one attacking mid and one defensive mid, but again, up to you guys. For the fullbacks, you can go for a balance if you want, so you can have one more attacking fullback and then one more defensive fullback, or you can go 2 attacking, 2 defensive. Really doesn't matter, just depends what you guys prefer. As for the centre backs, just use the best defenders you can. You know, the tall players, the strong players, fast defenders, you know, pretty much the types of defenders everyone uses anyway. But yeah, as for the keeper, doesn't really matter. They're all trash. Now, moving on to the player instructions. Sorry if this is going to let some of you guys down, but they're actually very basic, and I have a good reason for that. It's because I don't like to restrict my players all that much in this game, so I kind of just leave a lot of the instructions as default, as I feel like I get the most out of the players, and it seems to be a lot more varied in attack. But we do still have some instructions, so I'm going to talk you through them now. On the striker, the only important one is stay central, because we don't want this player drifting off into the wing, especially when we've already got wide players in this formation. We want him to stay central, so he's always in the correct place to finish off those attacks. We also have him on mixed attack as opposed to getting behind, as I feel like you get a lot more out of the player this way. They're not always making the same one-dimensional runs in behind. I just feel like you get a lot more out of your striker on mixed attack. For the wingers, I just have them on cut inside, and the reason I do this is so that they can get closer to the striker when we're on the attack. If you leave them out wide, they're always really far away from the striker, and you're always limited to crossing the ball, which is not actually ideal. So cut inside means they will make more inverted runs to get closer to the striker and get into the narrow areas of the pitch to cause a problem. Very, very effective, guys. If you do struggle defensively though, you can also put them on comeback on defense. This is so they will act more like a left mid and right mid when we don't have the ball, but I kind of just leave it on basic at the moment. But just beware, guys, if you are struggling, comeback on defense will do you fine. For the cam, I just leave him alone. Don't want to restrict him at all. Kind of just let him do his own thing, and it works out really well. So completely default settings on the cam. For the left centre mid, my more defensive minded midfielder, I have him on stay back and cover centre. We have him on stay back because, like I said, he's a more defensive minded player. Don't want him flying forward, we want him to stay back. And then we also have him on cover centre, so he does defend those central areas, which is very, very important. For the right centre mid, my more box to box player, I have him on balance and cover. We have him on balance so we can pick and choose when and where. Sorry, we have him on balance so he can attack and defend in the team. Sorry. If we have him on stay back, he'll always stay back like a defensive player. Because he's a more box to box, we do want him to attack and defend. And then again, we have him on cover centre, so he does defend those central areas. Now for one of the fullbacks, guys, I have him on balanced attack and overlap. This is very important in this formation, I think, because like I said, with the winger, we have him on cut inside, which means he's going to be making those more inverted runs into the middle of the pitch. Why am I pointing that way? For you guys, it'll be like that. But yeah, we have him on cut inside, so he does make those more inverted runs. And then for the right back, because he's making those inverted runs, the winger, we have him on overlap, so he does use that width and the space that has been left by the winger, because, you know, instead of being out wide, he's run into the narrow areas, leaving space for this fullback to overlap and get into the wide positions. Took me a while, but I got there. As for the left back, I have him on stay back and overlap. This is so we always have at least 3 defenders back at a time, but when we do send him on a run forward, for the same reason as the right back, he will make the overlapping runs to add extra width to the team. As for the centre backs and the keeper, default settings, do not touch them. But yeah, guys, they're my custom tactics and player instructions for the 4-3-3. If you have enjoyed or found this useful, please be sure to leave this a like, sub to the channel if you are new, and don't forget to turn on notifications. And with all that aside, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace. Sorry, I really needed to burp.